And we're live, maybe. Let me check. Oh, it's unlisted. Okay. This is my last chance if I want to do it. Or not. Alright. I wonder if that's too loud. Maybe it is. Yeah, that is kind of loud. That's a little better. Alright, run it. YOLO. Okay. Alright, now it should be live. Maybe. If things get hella broken, that's on me. And we'll figure it out. Alright, where are we at? Wait, is this... Damn it. Did I just... I think I broke everything. Shit. I gotta delete this. Where am I live now? What's going on? I'm a boomer. Don't laugh at me. Editor. Okay. Okay, are we live right now? I don't know. No, because that's... Okay, so I have to delete this immediately. Delete forever. Yeah. So I busted that one up, but I think I can do this. And then that should work. Yes. Literally not sure. Live right now. Nice. Okay. So if I click on this video, then we can see that I'm live currently. I think so. Okay, cool. And now I can see the chat. All right. Progress. We're doing it. Yeah, that took a while. Hopefully it's not super broken. Hey, what's up? I can see the chat, everyone. Forgive me, I'm kind of a boomer when it comes to, you know, all the tech stuff, so I've literally been trying to figure this out for the past like 2 hours. So if anything's janky or broken, just let me know, and then we'll see if we can hotfix it. What's up, what's up? I'm doing pretty good, Tam. Hope you're doing well as well. Alright, we'll just kind of sit here until we get some people rolling in here and I throw it on the Discord. Whenever I figure out how to do that. Can't change the video quality. Oh no. I can do it on my end. I wonder if that's something that is just like taking a while to fit in or something. Dude, I have no idea. Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, it works. I had an issue with like looping audio earlier, so if that starts to happen, pray for me. I don't we'll figure it out, man. Oh yeah, Discord, that's what I was gonna do. Bam. I hope everyone doing good. Yeah, me too. I hope everybody is having a good, what is today? Thursday? Thursday, or yeah, good Thursday. Almost the end of the week. Nice, nice. All right. Audio giving off Devilman Crybaby vibe. Yeah, somebody recommended, what is this? Where am I on? Epidemic Sound for like, you know, copyright free stuff. They have like a whole dark synthwave thing. Let's do some of that. Yeah, we'll just see how that rolls. What's up, Someone's Art Quest? Hope you're doing well. Somebody asked, can I ask how long you did the gesture drawing challenge, or how long ago? Yeah, that was, I think, 4 years ago when I completed it. I've been doing it on and off since then. Not like every single day, you know? I still do like gestures every day, but it's not like the full 60 minutes. It's usually for about like 20 or 30 minutes. So that's been going on nonstop. Starting your 6-month gesture drawing course today. I love the way you stylize figures. Thank you. Good luck on that routine, by the way. It gets easier the more you do it, and it's like the great thing about it is you don't have to do good every day. You just literally have to do it. It's all about like the consistency, like just doing it every single day. Even if you just don't really like, you just zombie mode through it, you'll still get really good by like month 2 and 3. I'm glad to hear the stream's not like super bugging out, because when I was testing it earlier, it was like complete mayhem. But yeah, that's pretty sick. Trapezoids, by the way, are like the coolest shape ever. Because you have like one edge that goes like around your form, and then you got like the flat edge and then the turning edge. I'm gonna make a video all about trapezoids later, because I think it's like one of the only shapes you probably ever need to study and get like really familiar with, and then you apply trapezoids to like anything like anatomy and stuff like that, and then it just becomes so much easier. What's up, Pilot? Been loving all your gesture work you've been posting in the Discord. It's super sick. What up, Demera? It's cool how the stream avatars are working too. My Cintiq has like a million scratches on it, so if this like sound of me drawing is like super loud, then that sucks. I don't know. Says, I found drawing eggs is super hard. Circles no problem. An egg while controlling where the big side and small side end up. Yeah. Eggs are really hard. Or like any like round or curved shape, I think is like really tricky. Like dude, I don't even know if I could draw an egg. I mean like I guess. I know a lot of people, they break down like the rib cage as like an egg shape. I always found those kind of tricky. I prefer like, you know, like solid shapes when breaking down something like a rib cage or something like that. Terrible examples, but yeah. I think it's all about like the way people, or like different people start stuff, because I know a lot of artists that do more structured things to define forms when sketching, and other people do like just like more free round shapes. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, eggs are hard. ASMR pen noises. Is the drawing I used as a thumbnail for this live on my Insta? No. I can put it there though. I'll probably throw all the gesture stuff I've been doing in the 6-month routine channel on Discord into the main sketchbook channel, so everybody can take a look at those. Thank you very much, Mooner. I'm glad to say that I inspired you. That's super sick. This is going to be tough to answer questions and do gestures, but we're going to do it anyway. What are your opinions on Josh H. Black? I saw that you have his brush, which looks amazing. Yeah, dude, his brush is sick. I don't know much about him, you know, like, as an artist, I guess. Like, I haven't even seen any of his YouTube videos. It wasn't until, like, I was popping around in the Discord that people were linking his videos, and I was like, oh man, he has a YouTube? I've literally just been only looking at his sketches he's posting on Instagram and stuff. But yeah, I think his work is awesome. Definitely, like, not necessarily, like, a goal for me to, like, do figure drawings or figure studies as good as he does. But definitely I'm taking elements of his, like, how he stylizes and keeps a lot of energy and movement while maintaining, like, a realistic style. So that's what I'm trying to kidnap from him at the moment. And yeah, his brush is, like, the coolest sketching brush that I've tried so far. And that's not saying much because I've only tried, like, 4 brushes, but it's been my favorite. Yeah, good enough. Do I know when the video on color will be ready? No, I do not. That might be the one I work on next. I'm gonna throw up a poll here on YouTube, probably tonight or in the next few days, just kind of going over a list of next topics or, like, next possible videos, and just kind of see what you guys choose. Will you keep the stream up when it's over? Yes, I think I have that setting enabled. These YouTube videos are sick. Man, I bet they are. I still haven't watched them. I'm stoked to, though, especially if he goes over, you know, just, like, how he does gesture drawing, especially, like, 1-minute ones. I think I'd be really interested in seeing that. I know the Gumroad tutorial, like, what was it? How to draw the female torso or something like that. That was really cool. Watching him just, like, you know, blast anatomy just, like, first try. Super cool. And some more ASMR pen noises. Oh god, my timer's everywhere. I will say, it is so much nicer, like, streaming with music on, especially while drawing, because, like, all that silence when I streamed, I don't know, like a month ago, it was, like, pretty hardcore. As soon as I warm up, these gestures should look a lot better. I also gotta draw smaller too, I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm like big, and then I have to pan around, and it gets really hard to keep proportions consistent. looks cooler. Oh, yuck. This doesn't sound like dark synthwave. It's catchy though. Okay. Oh, thanks so much, Action Man. That soft stroke brush of his was a godsend when I brought the brush pack. Thank you for linking the Gumroad. And those post packs are amazing. Yeah! I know, right, dude? This brush is like, oh, it's so good. Are these with reference? Oh, absolutely. I won't show them now because some of them are nude, and it's gonna just get me blasted on YouTube probably. But in the future, I'll figure out a way how to set that with OBS so you guys can see, you know, safe for work poses or the things that I'm looking at right now. I think we're gonna switch back to lo-fi after this one. This song's pretty hardcore. Too much BPM, man. My heart's gonna explode. I'm over-caffeinated. Where is my music? I don't know if it's the ADHD or what, but I have like 9 million tabs open at all times. I don't know what kind of disorder that entails, but it's gotta be something. Yeah, okay, lo-fi. Slow it down. Alright. Namera asks, are these all 1 minute? Oh, absolutely. That's my favorite. I tend to only do like longer ones if I'm like, I don't know, like nowadays I'm just like really excited on drawing like characters that I'm really into, like Darkstalkers characters and the sketches I've been posting in the Discord. So like I'll just take like a clip from a fighting game or something and then I'll spend longer on that one, up to like 30 or 40 minutes. Let's see, yeah, like this one here is an example of that. It's just like in total like an hour-long color study plus like a little value sketch of just the pose I thought was cool. I usually do that like right after I finish the gesture session. Alright, back to it. I'm missing so many like comments. How do you approach sitting poses when the subject is facing us directly, like without any visible twist or angle? Oh, that's tough. When they're facing directly with no twists or like foreshortening, I feel like those poses are actually like trickier to do than poses with a lot of twists and foreshortening. I think because like with twists and foreshortening, you can add a lot of flow and rhythm and kind of use that to solve the problems that you'll be running into. but with like a static pose, especially one where it's like sitting and they're not twisting or anything, it's just like just them sitting directly towards you. It's tough, and I think that just takes a good understanding of whatever construction method you're using or practicing, as well as practicing anatomy too. But it doesn't take it away. I mean, those poses are still like really tricky, and like I call them like standard standing poses. Just like I figure this standing, or like in video games like a T pose is like really tricky because it's so static. You know, there's like not much rhythm present. And that's good though, because I don't think there's any need, especially in an illustration, to like, you know, draw those poses, because they're already like not very interesting by nature. What kind of music do I like? Oh man. It's the basic answer, but it's like everything but country. I have tried to get into country. It's just not for me. But it ranges, man. Like, generally I like listening to a lot of like metal and black metal, and that's like my cool answer. My real answer is like a lot of pop, like Charlie XCX, and a lot of hyper pop too. Is like been blasting recently. Yeah, it's all over the place. It's like whatever I find like inspiring at the moment. Like I was just listening to the Dragon Ball Z Rock the Dragon theme for like 3 hours straight last night. We'll see how many poses I get through. My loose structure for this was like, yeah, I'll just do like 60, and then we'll draw like, we'll draw and maybe even paint up like the Dragon Ball Z character or something. Might still do that. I'm saving up for a Cintiq with a bigger screen than 60 inches. I think that's going to be such like a game changer and a life changer for me, because I've been drawing in this 16-inch thing for so long. It's so tiny. Let me read some questions now. I'm drawing along. I'll figure out this gesture drawing business. Yeah! You'll totally get the hang of it. What are the most important lines or body parts you start painting and building upon? That's a good question. Not really like many that are too important when painting, especially. I think the most important when drawing a pose or a human pose is like, right here you have this line for the shoulder, you got this oval I do for a rib cage, and then from this oval I connect down to where like the hips would be. And then these two going in opposite directions, that's your contrapposto. And then going from here. So I would say the main body parts that are really important when drawing are the ribs, hips, and then the rest are kind of just, well, actually they're all important. Ribs, hips, limbs, and head, I guess. Yeah, sorry, my brain just like short circuits when I'm trying to draw and like explain it. Alright, that was. Anyway, someone asked, are you going to be doing that construction video? Yeah, definitely. I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be throwing up a poll here probably later tonight, asking everybody what they want to see next, and that was one of the things I was going to include in the poll. The other one was going to be the painting video, kind of like my super bizarre approach that makes digital painting like way less intimidating and really easy to understand, I feel like. So that one, the construction video, maybe a video on drawing heads too. I think there's a lot of stuff we can cover, and I want to make sure I let everybody decide equally which one they want to see first, and then we'll just kind of move from there. What are my canvas dimensions and resolutions set up? So all my canvases are 11 by 14 inches, and the DPI is set to 600. And then pretty much I zoom super far in and set my brush to like 15 to 20 pixels. And from there it gets me like an infinite canvas, and then you can just kind of like move around on and do whatever. I also find that like when you zoom in, like obviously the resolution is like, you know, a lot crappier, but I find that makes the sketches better, like the lower quality for some reason, and it makes it like less, you know, intimidating to do like a perfect gesture or a perfect sketch, because if it already looks kind of like fuzzy, you know, like it doesn't matter. And then when you move into like rendering a sketch, like I would take this pose and then blow it up so it's even more fuzzy. But then when I'm drawing on top of that, like I'll set that to a lower opacity. The fuzz actually adds a lot of like vibratingness and movement to it, so that when I throw stuff on top of it, it maintains that energy. Someone's using the 24-inch Cintiq. Oh, I'm jealous. Man, must be nice. Oh man, there's so many people here. This is awesome. I apologize if I'm skipping over your questions. I'm mega dyslexic, so this is like pretty hardcore. Let's see. Someone says I love Darkstalkers. Yeah, me too. I don't know anything about the show. Is it a show? I think it is a show. And it was like a fighting game too, right? But I only know the characters from a game called Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I used to play that so much with my brother back in the day. Fighting games are like the only games I play too. Even though I'm not too good at them. Especially Marvel, dude, I was so bad at that game. Oh, here's a standing sit pose. Standing sit pose. You know, like a sitting pose where they're facing straight at you and not a lot is going on. I'm encountering one of those right now. And yeah, they're not the best. It's gotta be said. But everything's symmetrical, so that's kind of a way to, you know, get through that pose. Just keep it all symmetrical. Good enough. And this is not spooky lo-fi. Should check out Noodle Can for Hyperpop. Ooh, I have never heard of him. Okay, yeah, I will. I'm stoked. I'm gonna remember that. Did it take you quite a while to add leg and arm shapes once you did your gestures? Having a hard time adding the shapes in 1 minute. Are there any tricks? Yes, I think. So in the beginning, I didn't have any, like construction, which I think is going to be the #1 trick or kind of key to adding those shapes. So I was just really focusing on the energy and just throwing like lines down to get the entire pose down anyway. Kind of like what I'm doing now. Like instead of focusing on shapes or anything, I'm just throwing lines down to loosely define the limbs, like the legs and the arms and stuff. And this got me like a basic understanding of how those limbs kind of like flow into one another. And then once you have that, you can add construction on top of it. Let's see. Yeah, let's use this one for an example. Let me pause this so my brain doesn't break. And then turn that down. So I would focus literally on just like getting the entire pose down with a bunch of lines, essentially. And then why that's important is because once you understand, like, okay, an arm is here, it goes there, then you can start practicing construction. And my construction is basically just like little tubes. And when you practice all these like tube shapes for your legs and your forearm, your upper arm, all that stuff, then you can start doing that instead of doing the lines initially when you start doing gestures. I hope that made sense. My live teaching skills will get better as we do this more, I promise. This is probably the most copyright-free sounding song I've ever heard. It's what we love. And that's already 20 poses. Let's do it again. Play it again. Probably someone asked before, but what app? Let's see. So I'm using Quick Poses right now. It's like a free online website that has a gigantic library of a bunch of different poses. And you can set timers on there. But for illustration and when I go into like actually like rendering out a pose and painting it and stuff, I like using Pure Ref and just littering that thing with so many inspiring photos and stuff. Graffiti Studio has various packs. Yeah, Graffiti Studio is awesome. I have been using their packs for like years now. They're really good. QBrush just announced another like pack company or like gesture pack company called Electro Studio. I was using some of their references the other day. They're pretty cool as well. Very high quality stuff. Definitely recommend. Dude, I typed in lo-fi and this is like, we like migrated back to like Dollar Tree synthwave or whatever this is. Let's figure that out. Give me lo-fi. That works. The first time I heard that you use overhand grip, you didn't feel alone anymore. That's awesome. Yeah, not too many people know about it. And like, especially digital artists, like, I remember a while ago I posted a story on my Instagram where I was just like, doing gesture stuff, and somebody commented, they're just like, what? Like, you use that digitally? That's crazy, like nobody does that. I was like, what? They don't? I don't know. It's super good though. It definitely feels really strange now to draw the other way. For me at least. Lost in the sauce in this one. Pose Maniacs is a great site for quick gestures. Yeah. Oh man, that brings back memories. I haven't used that site in like maybe like 8 years. Like it's been a while, and that was like back then when I wasn't doing gesture like consistent at all. Like, you know, I'd do it like once a month. But I remember always going to Pose Maniacs. That's the one where they're all like just the anatomy, like there's no skin on them, right? Just like little muscle people. Oh no, is my mic weird? I got a pretty good mic, but I think I set it really bad on OBS. I can move it closer, maybe that'll help. What should you try to aim for beginner level gestures, and what do you add with advanced? Let's see. Beginner level, I would say to only focus on energy and getting used to basic proportion with figures. And to do that, I refer to it as chaos mode in my last video. So you just draw really big connecting shapes, and you're not trying to make it pretty. Like, all you're trying to do is finish the pose and apply basic proportion to your figures. You know, like the top part of your arm ends at the bottom of your ribcage kind of thing. And those are the only things you focus on, is like getting used to proportion and finishing the pose, as well as using long, big connecting lines to reinforce energy. This is something too that you should apply regardless of your skill level. Like for beginners, this is where I would start. If you're more advanced, I would do this as often as possible. because the more you do this, the more it becomes easier to really exaggerate the poses. And when you really push poses, that's when you unlock like dynamicness and all the cool stuff. Oh, the mic is better. Okay. I had it farther away from my tablet because the ASMR pen noises, I felt like they would get kind of, you know, insane. It's good to hear that it's better now. I even got a pop filter the other day. Oh, that thing is so nice. When I was recording the last video, like I was using a lot of P's, and then the pop filter actually like did its job. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, what's up, Josh? Thank you for the recommendation on Epidemic Sound, by the way. I am using their free trial. I always find that 1 minute is either like the shortest time imaginable, or sometimes I think the timer is playing tricks on me because it just does not end. I'm like, oh, what do I do? Maybe it's just like deep focus mode or something. When doing gestures on paper, is it best to draw with a ballpoint pen? I mean, yes. I think it's best to draw with whatever you like drawing best with. I've heard a lot before that it's good to draw with like a ballpoint pen, or you know, even like a fine point one, something that you can't erase with. And I've heard that's good for, you know, getting good line quality and just line confidence in general. I say I've heard because I've never really done that. I've done a lot of traditional drawing as well. Like I have sketchbooks and sketchbooks full of traditional stuff. But I never really liked using pens, so I never did. Wanted to ask, I've been doing the gesture drawing practice and was wondering how you feel about line of action. I feel like I overshoot my proportions when I try and use it over shapes. Good question. So, here's the thing, like I never really studied an academic approach to gesture studies at all. So I very loosely know what a line of action is in the first place, right? It's just like your line that dictates the energy of the pose. That said, I think it's good if you're going to do that, right? Because it keeps everything focused into the... See, dude, I'm trying to explain it, but I don't know. I'm just going to end it by saying I think it's best to do whatever you're vibing with the most. And if that's building shapes over a line of action, start there, but also practice other concepts too. I apologize for my teaching while I'm trying to draw, everyone. I will get better at this as we do it more. Somebody says they dislike gesture, it's so annoying. Yeah, I hear ya. It was definitely like that when I was first doing it too. Like, I never liked it or understood it. And it really frustrated me seeing a lot of other artists just like not do it well, you know, but just do it in general. I was like, man, this is like, why are you guys doing it so much? Like, I never understood the amazing utility behind it. And it's good for everything too. Like, even if you're not going to be painting humans, like, I don't know, if you're going to be drawing foxes or something, obviously it'd be good to do gestures of foxes, but even if you do them with gestures of humans, you level up your perspective, you level up so many like essential things that make drawing a lot easier and more fun later down the road. Oh, yuck. That was a bad gesture. I'm having issues adapting overhand grip, struggling to balance comfort and actually being at the right angle to make results. Any tips? Yeah, I think... So the way I described it in my last video, I didn't go over like a really good, definite example of how you should be drawing with that. So I think playing around with the angle of your drawing surface, right now mine is at like, you know, a pretty steep, like past 45-degree angle. And I feel like that really helps when, you know, like alleviating any pain that comes with that. I also do remember that when I was starting out, like I must have been doing it wrong or something, because like there was a lot of pain, you know, for like doing that for like a month straight while trying to practice this grip. But I think a little bit of it is necessary because you're drawing with your entire arm and like more specifically your shoulder, like right up at the joint. And for me, I wasn't used to moving that, those particular muscles involved in that motion that much. So it was like, it was pretty hardcore to do it even for like 10 minutes. Let's see. What are your thoughts on awkward or stiff poses? Worth doing a gesture? Some dude sitting on the couch, is there a benefit? That is a really good question. I think so. For me, the awkward or stiff poses and the ones that are like really annoying to draw and they don't have like, you know, fun motion or aren't interesting to look at, they're really beneficial because they test your anatomy knowledge and your construction on how you would approach a pose like that. And yeah, there's that, I guess. One question, without having social media, but following the right steps, in how much time do you think it's possible to start earning money making commissions, like $1,000 a month? If you're asking without social media, that's going to be really, really tricky to do. You know, even with social media too, but there are a lot of avenues to pursue, especially as an artist, when it comes to making income. And a lot of people, like, when I was first starting out, I thought the only way to make it was to, you know, have a gigantic following and like take commissions and stuff like that. But yeah, there's like other roads to follow with that. Like I do conventions, for example, and I'm able to make all of my money that way. And conventions are something that doesn't require, you know, a large social media presence in order to fully make a sustainable living as an artist that way. But it does come with a lot of other, you know, really important things to learn and study that are like outside of art in general. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that will point you in the right direction if you're interested on selling art at conventions, because it is a very lucrative thing if you're able to, one, do it in general and do it effectively. Took me many years to figure that out though. Thank you guys for answering the questions, by the way, too. Especially with the overhand grip. Again, I apologize for my stream brain. I'm not firing on every piston. This is still pretty fun regardless though. Missed the gesture site that I used to draw from. So I use a site called Quick Poses, and I can't link it in the description because YouTube like blasted me when I did that in my first video. But if you just, you know, type in Quick Poses, you'll find it. It's definitely my favorite one of all time because it keeps track of your progress. So like every hour you do, it logs into your account. And you get like really cool little achievements and awards for each milestone you reach. Like the first one's I think is like 20 hours, and then the next one is 50, and then 100. And you get your own little certificate. Like it's so cool. I've heard a lot of people say that they get really bored of the poses though. And that's totally fair. There isn't that many. What are your opinions on the Force figure drawing and anatomy books? I didn't know he had anatomy books. I know the Force one you're referring to. I don't know who it's by. So I think they're really, really great, but I only studied the Force figure drawing book for maybe like 1 week. I didn't like intensely, like I didn't even make it through the entire book. But I still apply a lot of the general concepts that are within that. I think they're an excellent source, especially the Force one, if you're a beginner and looking for real solid guidance on where to begin with gesture, because I really resonate with the teachings within that book. Essentially, like what you should be pushing and doing at all times with gesture is just really just throwing it down, you know, like making that pose as dynamic as possible and pushing angles that aren't there in the reference. And I feel like that book does a great job at thoroughly explaining that concept. Matesi, yeah, that's right. Mike Matesi? Mike Matesi? I think it's Mike. Do you time yourself for gestures? What's your typical time frame? Yeah, so each gesture I'm doing is just 1 minute. It's just a 1 minute pose. And when I was doing the 6-month routine, I would do it for 1 hour, so 60 poses for 1 minute each. And then, you know, that was like every single day without skipping a day. That was the entire core of that 6 months. And then after that, I kind of switched to just doing at least like 20 or 30 a day. Like I don't really go for the full 60. And then after those 20 or 30, I set a timer for like an hour or 40 minutes, and then either like take a gesture that I really like that day and kind of like render it up to whatever level I'm feeling like, or I find another different pose and do the same thing. I try to do that every day too, by the way, but some days like I'll need to get an illustration done or something, so I'll kind of can that and go straight to painting after this. But I find gestures like just a really nice way to unsmooth the brain when you're like first waking up in the morning or something like that. And then you could tackle like a painting you've been working on or something like that. It just makes it a lot more approachable. Mike Matesi, it is Mike. It's not Matt, right? I always go on Force Friday, which is tomorrow at 3:30. Oh, no way. Does he have like a live stream thing? That's cool. I gotta check that out. Every Force Friday at 3:30 p.m. That is rad. I never knew that existed. I have a few of his books. It's where I learned about skating, gesture, and sculpting the form. Hell yeah. Yeah, his books are very, very good for approaching gesture. I am also trying to do the 60 drawings per minute. I remember doing an hour of several drawings. It wasn't easy. No, yeah, it's pretty intense. I remember a lot of days I had to break it up into chunks, like doing 3 sessions of 20 minutes throughout the day, like, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner kind of thing. Or I would even do like 6 sessions of 10 minutes, because, like, you know, it just gets really brutal, especially like after your second month. You're just like, oh, holy crap, man, like 4 more months to go. But I highly stand by that it was the most pivotal moment for me as an artist, and really like unlocked so much for me. And I think the whole key of that was just drawing every day, just that consistency, because I was not focused on making good gestures the entire time. I was just focused on getting it done. Just like getting to month 6 was like all I was thinking about. So where's my lo-fi dog? I thought for a moment to switch to Spotify and I was going to get a copyright strike or something. I was like, oh no. This is it. This is where the channel dies. What's my mewing streak? 9 million. 1 step back, 2 steps forward. I learned that from the Proco artist guy. Yeah, from Rembert. Yeah, when I took the workshop with him, he kind of went into a very like brief detail of him having like an apartment somewhere. I think it was in the Czech Republic. I don't know. His story is crazy. But he would have really hard days where he was just like, you know, like super sick, or like his heating went out and it was like you can see your breath in the apartment. It was like super cold, and he was just like, oh, fuck this. So, you know, like 1 step back, 2 steps forwards, and then that pushed him to get where he is now, and that was super inspiring when I heard that. I was telling a few other people in private that I genuinely don't really recall much of the workshop outside of that. It was like an extensive 8-week thing, and the only thing that like I really remembered was like when he explained what he was doing in that tiny apartment. I was like, oh man, that is so cool. And you know, it's like it's dangerous because it goes into like the grind set kind of thing, or like the anime protagonist Goku 100 gravity training, where you can just like really like damage yourself, and you know, it's really bad. So it's important to take care when you're doing this routine. That's something I really wish I put at the forefront, because a lot of days I just like, you know, disregarded that and other things like, you know, your health. What do you draw for fun or your personal work? Just curious. That's a good question. My personal work is pretty, like dark. I actually don't know if I can show a lot of it on stream, but for fun, I just like drawing poses that I find on the internet that are just like really interesting, and I'll kind of just see how far I could push that, and then use like a new color thing on them, like just new colors I haven't really used before. This is a good example of it, just like fruit roll-up colors. Let's see what else I got. I'm playing a lot of Fighter Z right now, so I'm drawing Android 21. Like, this is just like what I do for fun, and it also kind of plays in like how I study. Yeah, but my personal work is very dark and plays on a lot of really like heavy themes regarding like mental health and stuff like that. I'm slowly adding it to the Discord, which is under a whatever like tagline, like you have to be like 18 to even look at that channel. So you'll be able to see a lot of like eventually my whole personal work there, or you can check out my Instagram to look at that stuff. Fighter Z, but with gummy bear battles. If that was the case, I'd probably be good at that game. Oh, thanks so much, 3DNS. 3DNS? 3DNS? Appreciate it, Comfy Cow. I think we have like 16 more, and then I would have already done 60. Which does not feel like it at all. I've probably been streaming for a little longer because it's pausing and stuff. Opinions on Switch 2. Oh, I was just talking about this to my partner last night. I don't know. Gotta be honest, I don't know. I don't really like how there wasn't any... I don't know if this is Nintendo's fault or anything, but there wasn't any like really cool launching title for the Switch 2. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't really watch the entire Nintendo Direct, but all I recall was like the new Mario Kart, and they were like gassing that thing up for like 40 minutes, and I was like, I don't know, it's not the most exciting thing I've seen. Biggest areas I struggle with is weight. My characters look like they're floating. Any tips? Yeah, in my last video, the Ultimate Gesture Guide one, I kind of went over a quick like little hotfix you can do to apply weight within your figures. The pose I'm drawing right now doesn't really, it's not a very good example of that. But if I get one, I'll kind of demonstrate that more. And actually, I'll just find a pose to show what I'm talking about. Let's see. Yeah, this is good. So the hotfix for that is to essentially like imagine that you're in a 3D program like Blender or something where you have a ground plane that is always present, and you're just going to draw an X on that ground, and that kind of simulates where the character is and where they're sitting on that ground plane. And when you're going and doing gestures like there kind of, you can just draw that X all the time. And that kind of like puts them into the perspective automatically, which will kind of simulate that force. That's a bad example. Terrible. But that's also something I learned from Rembert in passing when I was just watching him draw. He would always draw that little X, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Switch 2 games are overpriced. Yeah, they are. And like, so I come from the era of the Wii, like the original one with the Wiimote. And the online Wii shop was so good, I remember. Like all the games on the Wii shop were just incredible. But on the Nintendo Switch eShop or whatever, like the games are so like bad. They're like bad mobile games or something, or like really like unpolished anime like dating sims. Like that's fine, that genre's fine, but the level of stuff they allow on the shop is just kind of weird. And my partner and I were ranting about that last night. We were like, what the, why? Last console I own is the Switch. I mostly just game on PCs I build. It's the same here, I think. We did get the PS5 when that released, and that's been nice. But you know, like I only use it for YouTube. Like I just use it to watch YouTube videos every night. Like I don't really game that much in general. It's yucky. But when I do game, yeah, it's like PC is kind of the best, as they say. From the era of NES or SNES, yeah, from the 80s. We're in the same year Nintendo came to the States. Hell yeah. I'm from the N64 era, so 90s. And in my professional boomer opinion, I still think the N64 was like, had the best games ever. It could just be like nostalgia glasses or whatever too, but like, oh man, like Star Fox 64. What else? Super Mario 64 even. Mario Kart 64, one of the best Mario Karts. Banjo-Tooie, good lord. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Played them all. Have you played Cyberpunk 2077? Oh, of course. And again, as soon as Edge Runners dropped. Right when Edge Runners dropped, I would draw like nothing but, what's her name, Kiwi? I thought the character looked so cool. Kiwi and Lucy, of course. Oh yeah, Nintendo tried to sue the Pal World creators. Oh, I didn't know they lost either. That's awesome. Or maybe not, because Pal World was like, you know, pretty on the nose with that stuff. But I don't think Nintendo's handling things very well. Yeah, Nintendo and execs down there will sue anybody that happens to blink the idea of Nintendo fan art. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really, really lame. Or like if I draw Mario on stream, they'll just come after me. Nintendo tried to sue a supermarket in Latin America and the supermarket won? Hell yeah. We have a chance.
Globetrotter, so shocker. I keep it in the chrome locker. Don't rock up. I counter it with no offer. I don't wanna.
Where's my lo-fi dog? I'll say it again.
I make a whole number turn to an eighth. Learn from mistakes, got the whole world on my.
Are you thinking about 3D space and volumes as you draw? Yes, especially when it comes to doing the gestures. I think more so, 3D space helps when you're doing things like planting weight with your gestures. And I think volume really helps, like right here, like really drawing this cylinder, for example, and even drawing like little circles around it to define that shape and give it all the volume. Really helps when you're drawing the limbs. Yeah, and that comes with just like kind of doing your turning edge with each shape, as well as the flat surface edge and then the edge that turns away from you or towards you. And you can see like right there in that little corner. That's why I love trapezoids so much, because they describe that immediately. Like you got your flat surface, the edge that turns away from you, and the edge that turns towards you. So the three lines that you need to describe any form. And like using this leg as a cylinder, I'll just draw another one here. Let's go. Like a shoddy cylinder. You can do a trapezoid here. Boom, boom, boom. And then it gives you like everything pretty much. You got your flat surface there, and then the edge that is coming towards you, and then turning away from you this way. And I think I mentioned earlier in the stream that that's why I like drawing more solid forms rather than organic forms, because it gives you a clear defining thing to describe these edges, which in turn give you really good volume on your forms. So I'm kind of like thinking about that on like a microscopic level in the back of my head every time I'm doing these gestures as well, just to keep it readable and believable. My problem with gestures and studying is that when I study to improve, I focus on, when I study to improve and you're focusing on that, you actually forget to enjoy drawing. Yeah, that's that's a tough one. It wasn't until recently where I was actually enjoying doing gestures, like honestly enjoying it and like having fun with it, even with studies too, and anatomy studies. I definitely remember having to just kind of bite the bullet and just, get through the sucky and really study something. And a great example of that is like hands. Like I still don't like drawing hands, but I remember just just eating the bullet and just drawing a bunch of hands, just kind of figuring that out. And as I got used to it and more comfortable and confident drawing hands, suddenly it was really fun to draw hands. So I think when you're studying, it isn't necessarily a goal to aim for it to be fun, because to some extent, it's always going to suck, right? Like it's always going to be really tough. But as you do it more and as you get more, I guess, advanced with it, then it starts to become fun again. Then you're like, oh, hell yeah, I'm drawing and I'm gonna try this pose because I studied this specific thing that'll make this pose believable. And because you studied, you can now do it, and then it becomes fun. Whenever I try drawing gestures, it looks like absolute dog water. Do I just need to practice more? Yeah. Like, I know it's the lame answer that not a lot of people like to hear, but yeah, it's just be consistent with it. Just keep going and they will look better. And I feel weird to like plug the video I just uploaded, but I feel like it goes over a lot of really good things you can do to keep in mind while you're doing these gesture practices to maintain progress or to make sure you're on the steady track to getting better in general. So definitely check that one out. As when I can write a script and I have plenty of time to do takes, I am much more articulate. What's going on with this pelvis? Some nonsense, that's what. Alright, we'll just skip that pose. Action Man says they love hands. That is awesome. I am jealous. Hands are so weird. I've heard another artist say that like some people are naturally better at drawing feet. Like they don't have a hard time drawing feet and they do have a hard time drawing hands, or it's like the opposite. Where they're really like hands come intuitively to them, but like feet are like really hard. And I guess I got the foot gene because like feet have never really been very tricky for me, but hands, good lord. Definitely on my list to practice those again. As well as like the calf, or like whatever this part of the leg is called. The bottom bit. Like I don't know any of the muscles that go down there. But I know enough of the forms to kind of just like get through it. Can you show me the right way to use a circle for a pelvis? I tried the square and it didn't work for me. Unfortunately, no, I do not know. Like, I can give it a shot, like how to use the circle for a pelvis. I actually do use the square method. So I'll go ahead and give an example of that. So I like to pair it up with the rib cage, which is just kind of simplified as this little eggy, boxy shaped thing. And then you got your shoulders, so you got the contrapposto, and then here's where that box comes in line. And I actually think the box is really helpful and kind of like a really good starting point, even if it like really sucks at first. Like believe me, this box, I hated it when I first drawing it for hips. Like it did not like work well with me. But it's really great because it already defines like a lot. Like you can already see like, okay, you got the ribs here, this is going in that direction, those hips are going in this direction, so you got the contrapposto, and then from here you're like, okay, I got my, what's this part called? I forget, the coccyx or whatever. And you got that part of the body, and then you can, you know, draw the butt. And then from here you can go to where the rectus femoris, or that part of the leg, would connect, and then kind of like draw out the rest of it. And that's kind of like why the box is so good, because it is a very simple, like probably the simplest shape you can break down to define the entire pelvis. And once you have this, you can mark down little connection points of where each individual muscle goes. And like for this too, if you draw an X right there in that box, this little point right here is where the, what is that bone called? I'm drawing a total blank. Anyway, the box is great because simplified shapes, and then you can find your connecting points where the different muscles go and where the bones connect to. Great trochanter, that's what that bone is called. So I'll define that stuff later on. But if you want like a better and thorough explanation of the box method and why it's great, I would highly recommend checking out Will Weston. He has a lot of stuff online that I think is free that you can check out that describes this in great detail, or there's a lot of paid resources that go into even greater detail with this stuff. Can confirm boxes are my mortal enemy. Yet, so wait, for some gosh darn reason, a box is a good start for hips. Yeah. No, I totally get it. Boxes were not fun for me either. And I actually tried to do so many other methods before I actually just like sat down and was like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to draw this box. And the box was just really, really powerful. I gotta go. Can you please post the stream after? Oh yeah, absolutely. As I said earlier, I believe I have that enabled, so this will just be its own upload. If I don't, I will do it regardless. The butt. The butt is rectangular. The butt is the hardest surface known to man. I think I got a good strat going. Okay, like I'll read a question and then I'll do the gesture. That way I can answer it while I'm doing the gesture. We have a bunch of butt professionals in chat. Good stuff. I expect nothing less. Those cheeks. Ass enthusiast. Other than struggling with the perspective, I find that the box is hard to build the anatomy on that. That's also the other issue. Totally, I hear ya. That comes with a lot of practicing anatomy in general. So what the box is just the simplified shape of the pelvis. But in order to understand how that's useful and actually apply it within your art, it's really helpful to draw the pelvis in kind of all of its detail. And then that way you can see exactly the points on the bone where the muscle connects to, and you can kind of then visualize why the square is so good, because it gives you all of the information from that pelvis, and then once you know where the muscles connect, you can apply that to the simplified form, making it easier to really throw everything down. But that is not something that comes like easy, you know, that's not like I can just draw a box and suddenly I know how to draw hips. Like, that's something that I would say you can get down with a lot of studying, and specifically studying the actual like pelvis bone itself. Oh yeah, Constantinitis, I think I pronounced that right. Yeah, thank you very much, by the way, for answering everybody's questions here too. The upside down butterfly is what the male and female booty looks like. Yes, that is also another like a simplified kind of construction thing of the butts. The pelvis is for real the funnest part of the body to draw. Many interesting connections and lines. Yeah, I agree. I really like drawing the face and like eyes as well as legs. I feel like legs give you like a lot of like, they're just big arms, right? They're just big arms put on backwards, and they give you a lot of expression within the pose. Same with the face. I think that's why I like them. Ran out of time. I'm immediately not applying my strategy. I was just like, I want to read a question and then do the pose while I'm reading the question. Nope. Still breaks my brain. Can you draw some quick simplified figures with simple shading? Yeah. I got about a minute left for this last pose. I'll do this one and then we'll go for it. Probably draw like an Android 21 or something. I don't know if I'll go for color in this stream because I'm kind of hungry, but definitely later streams will be doing some shading and further rendering, even some like super painting stuff. It'd be really fun to paint like, not paint, but like stream like a full illustration. But I feel like that isn't very interesting because like, you know, an hour of like deep focus painting, like you don't really get much done. Or at least I don't with how I paint. And my paintings are like absurdly detailed, so it's like, you know, it's not that cool. I think it's cool for just like the party trick of just like, whoa, that looks cool. And then 2 hours later, like no progress has been done. You're just like, oh, okay. Whereas like drawing is just like, oh, okay, like he's doing stuff fast. Do you think of your big toe as a thumb or a pointer finger, but it's on your feet? That makes me feel weird. I don't know. I like to think of it as neither. I like to think of it as a snake, like Will Weston describes it this way too. It's like the head of a cobra or something. It's kind of like your big toe. Right. That's nasty. Dude, feet are gross. So Proca bucket is the right way to think about it. If it works for you, yeah. It is a very good way to break down the pelvis, but it's a little more complex than the box, I would say. And for me, it did not resonate well, no matter how many times I tried to draw that thing. So I never went back to it. But I know for some, like, it genuinely does help them. So definitely find all the methods out there and try them and just kind of see which one really vibes with you the best, and then go from there and use their construction method as things to build upon in the future. Big toe is like a squished thumb. Yes. Oh yeah, the stream avatars? Yeah, they're sick. Yeah, I don't know if it's been doing it this stream or not, but there's a way like you can enable, like when somebody types something in, like a question, it shows up on screen, like what they're chatting about. There's also a way to put like a voice to text thing in there too, so they actually like talk over each other, but I think that'd get pretty annoying. Let's see, what do I want to draw? Definitely Android 21, but what kind? Gotta say I'm not too warmed up, but we'll see how this goes. Hold on, pure ref broke. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm just zoomed way the hell out. Alright. Yeah, let's give this a shot. Let's see. It feels like a pointer finger to me, but then why isn't there a thumb? I don't know, brother. I don't know why we don't have thumbs on our feet. Oh, that'd be disgusting. Android 16 is a gummy bear. Maybe for another stream. Do all the androids as really chubby gummy bears or something. How old are you, and did you start getting good at 24? Says Professor. I'm 28 now, and yes, I think if you were to put it like bluntly, I guess I did start getting good at 24. But it's important to point out and recognize that, you know, I was drawing for 10 years consistently before that point. But it was around like that time, when I was 24 or 23-ish, when I implemented the 6-month gesture routine alongside personal paintings, painting studies, anatomy studies. I guess you could call them master studies, though I wasn't really like trying to do anything other than paint like the artist that I really liked. And a good example, or an artist that I really liked at that time and still do, is Gerald Brom. So I would literally just like pull up a bunch of Brom paintings and be like, well, okay, I'm going to paint as good as this guy draws or paints. And that's all that I was like, that was my driving force through those 6 months of just like trying to paint up to his level. So just really trying to emulate that. And I feel like that really boosted everything alongside the consistency within the gesture routine too. Hold on, I want to draw a cupcake. Where's the cupcake one? There it is. Foot philosophy. No more feet. How do you do master studies? Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know essentially what like a master study is. A lot of my like training, or I guess studies, for lack of a better word, were done without any guidance. So essentially what I imagine a master study is just like, you know, painting like a master or doing something like the master, and that's essentially what I was doing. So how I would do that is I would pull up, wait, didn't I just say this? I kind of did, but I'll say it again. Pull up a painting that I really liked from a master, in this case Gerald Brom. Let me see if I can pull up references that are safe for work. And I would emulate his brush strokes, or particularly like his color palette. I remember I would do that a lot. This is a good example. Unless it breaks Photoshop. Right, that's safe? Yeah, it's safe. Okay. Yeah, so this is like one of my paintings I made around that time that really, oh god, hold on, okay. That really like catapulted how I look at painting in general. And this one was, I don't know the specific Brom painting. It wasn't like, yeah, I can pull up this one. Let me save this image really quick. So like I wasn't copying his design or his characters or his composition or, you know, anything like that, obviously, but what I was doing was, if this loads, beep. Okay, so here we go. We got like a Brom painting, and then, for example, I would have this up on my reference board while I started this painting, for example, and all I would focus on was trying to make this painting. Let me get some colors in here so I can like do stuff. Get my work to look exactly like his work, or as close to it as I could. And this kind of thing, I guess, is essentially what you would call a master study. And doing this over and over and over again with so many paintings eventually led me to creating my own style and my own way of going about tackling painting. Which, you know, over the years, like, it just compounds on each other. But during those 6 months, this is when I like really took it to myself and just kind of believed, like, you know what, no, I can paint as good as Brom. And then here we are. I still can't paint as good as him, but, you know, I can paint as good as me now, which is the goal. I think that's where everybody should strive to get. What's your routine now? For example, 1 hour studies and then 2 hour personal projects, and or how long with the study topic? Dude, I am so, like, not good at being consistent anymore. That's something I'm getting back in the bandwagon on. I will say right after the 6 month routine, I did continue to do an additional 2 or 3 months after that. But that was mainly because I I had a goal that I wanted to get to, you know, and that building that consistency past 6 months was just going to get me there faster. So that's why I was doing it. Rembert just stressed that it's only 6 months that is the important thing, and I also agree with that, because like the rest of it was just consistency and building upon what I wanted to get to. Nowadays, I generally just warm up with like 20-minute gestures, or sometimes even 10, and then I'll go into like 2 hours of a personal project or a painting. I kind of haven't been having too much time recently because it's convention season, so I'm kind of like, you know, panicking, getting inventory ready, and doing the craziness that comes with that lifestyle, getting that stuff ready. So there hasn't been too much, but I am going to get back into a solid routine that probably would consist of doing like a 30-minute gesture session of 1-minute poses, and then maybe like a 45-minute detailed, like slightly rendered thing that I'm interested in at the time, and then at least 3 hours on a personal piece. And then, you know, if you do that for 10 days, you already spent 30 hours, and by that time the personal piece is looking awesome. I will say, generally throughout the like extensive boot camp time, some days were, you know, like super just insane, of like, you know, 18 hours straight of just like, that's all I would do is just paint and like, you know, study anatomy and do all this crazy stuff. But I always did it that long, not really forcing myself. And for painting, I always felt like I never had to force it. Like I was just in the zone having a blast, you know, like I was listening to a lot of live music things. I think around that time was like the pandemic, so a lot of musicians that I liked were doing live streams on YouTube, so I was just kind of like vibing out to them live, and it was just a really cool time. I remember very isolated, kind of depressing, but like yeah, it's moments, I guess. I think I'm gonna redo that. Oh, I can. Oh yeah, we'll just go here. Just talking while drawing, wasn't really focusing. Oh man, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, starting at foot philosophy. I'm gonna move down from there. Yeah, okay, answered my routine now. 22 now, I just dropped out of art school in Scotland. Oh, that's awesome. Hello. Scotland is very pretty. Okay, I'll finish reading, sorry. In my final year, they didn't teach me anything. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm teaching myself now and trying to follow your gesture plan. Hell yeah, that's awesome. I think it's a good call. I mean, this gesture plan is not backed, I guess, kind of. I stole it from Rembert Montalд. He's a professional artist that has worked on so many incredible things, from Riot and other stuff in the game industry. His work is ridiculous. But this is the method he used. I'm not sure if he actually went to art school or not, but I definitely didn't go to art school. And that thing was the catalyst to all of this. Salem asks, how did you learn shading? That kind of came, like, I wasn't practicing, like doing shading studies, for example. Instead, I was doing full illustrations, kind of like the one I just demonstrated earlier. And with that, like, just like, you know, I guess like advanced level of rendering, because I was doing colors and stuff. Shading kind of came naturally from doing all of that over and over and over again. Man, it is tough to stay focused on drawing while talking. It's probably highlighting like my isolation background, you know. I'm just like normally super loud music. I'm not focusing on anything else. Excuses. No, that's totally valid. You can definitely see the Brahm influence in your work. Oh, hell yeah. Love Brahm. Yeah, dude. Definitely him. Who else? Katsuya Terada still is like one of my favorite artists ever. Who else do I like? I know I like others. But mainly Braum. Yeah, Braum's cool. I think what I love about his work is just how beautiful it is, and just like, you know, dark and aesthetic. It's just so aesthetic. So like, you know, I sell my work at conventions. That's like what I do full time for like our job nowadays. And a lot of people come up to my table, they're just like, whoa, your work looks just like Braum. And I'm like, yeah. But they're like, no, but it looks like Braum from hell. Or like if Braum went to hell. And I'm just like, oh, that's like the biggest compliment, I think, like literally ever. And that's kind of like where I'm going to be pushing. That's why I'm exploring like super dark themes within my work. And you know, a lot of the figures are nude, so I can't show it here. I think we might restart this one again, dude. Or not. You know what? Let's just run it. Let's see how it goes. Let's get messy. This might not be the best sketch, but I don't care. I welcome you guys to Force Friday tomorrow at 3:30. I will try to be there. I really do want to be there. That sounds really cool. Mike Matesi, right? Yeah, I really gotta look through his book again. I was such like like a punk ass kid. Like I was just like, our teacher sucks. So I bought the books and then like I never opened them. I don't know. To an extent, I think that's good too. Like if it doesn't resonate with you, don't learn it. But looking back, that's probably just my personality from when I was 23, 24. Very sharp, I guess. My way or the highway. Definitely was the highway all the time. My way is the highway. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we'll see. I always know if I like revert back to chaos mode, that's like, oh no. This one might not look good. The most frustrating thing is that I don't know if I'm doing the practice right. How do I know if I'm doing gesture right? Good question. I remember that being super frustrating too. Because like, especially when you're self-taught, right? There's like no guidance. So you're like, okay, like I get the thing, like I'll do 60 1-minute gestures for 6 months or whatever, but like, how do I get better at it, right? For me, that comes with having a lot of inspiration or like just an inspo board of examples of really good gestures. And every time you sit down to do a session, your goal should be to make your gestures look like that person's gestures. Over time, I found that keeps a structure where there really isn't any, and kind of gives you like a thing to focus on within each practice session. You're like, okay, like I didn't get close this time, but I got a little good with the like line of action, for example, or I got a little good at the contrapposto, like kind of like within the gestures that I have as examples. So then you can kind of build upon it from there, and each day it gets a lot easier when you stick with that. That's at least what I did. Specific online gesture course that helps you get started in learning how to do it properly. I'd like some advice on which you think is the best. I never took a gesture course online or in person, or even like a workshop that specifically went over gesture. I did what I just talked about. So I would have examples of artists that were masters at gesture and just basically try to emulate them within every session. And that gave me, over time, you know, confidence within doing gestures, as well as my own way and personal approach to applying gestures, which is different from a lot of teachings. Maybe it isn't, I don't know, but I haven't seen the teachings, man, I don't know. Oh man, it's snowing outside too, I just looked up. Nice. Michael Turner is great. Hell yeah, I bet he is. I don't know who that is though. Do you know Epic the Musical? No. I don't. I know Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd is a good musical. Johnny Depp, boy. Where am I at? Let's see. At the start of the journey right now, going full chaos mode and having a hard time marrying structure with flow during the time limit. I figure time will resolve it. Yeah, I think so. And if you haven't practiced structure and you're only practicing like flow or the chaos, right? Like, it's going to be hard to marry chaos with structure if you haven't actively practiced structure as well. So it kind of like takes a good understanding of both of those things in order to be able to combine them both. I hope I went over that well in that video. I actually don't know. Something funny too, one of the mods from the Discord, Brenda, they mentioned that I had the perfect opportunity to use a chaos control joke, because you know you have the chaos mode and then like the control from the structure, and I didn't use it in the video. Oh god, the biggest like missed opportunity of all times. I even used like Shadow the Hedgehog pictures in that video too, and it just didn't come to me. Ugh. Literally the most annoying thing. Do I like this? Do I want to scrap it? Do I want to start over? The answer to that is yes, I do. But will we keep going? I guess. You know what? No, okay, yeah, no, I'm doing another one. Can't do it. Can't do it, man. Let's see. When I search gesture drawing, it shows a bunch of figure drawing instead, and I get confused. Yeah, that's tough. Like when you're finding good examples of gesture drawing, right? Like that's something that's really hard. And I think the biggest thing that I got out of like the mentorships that I took was examples of artists with good gesture or with good anatomy, with good forms, and then I could put them on my reference board. When I wasn't able to identify good anatomy, good form, good gesture in order to then study from them. And a really good reference of gesture specifically I use all the time is Josh H. Black. And I reference his stuff in a lot of my videos. But he's super good. How did you get better at foreshortening? So I specifically remember, and this was the whole reason why I kind of like went into, or like 80% of the reason why I went to Denmark for that workshop was to get better at foreshortening. Because when I was learning it, I thought that was like, you know, I was baffled by it. I was like, what the hell? Like, how do people do this? It doesn't make any sense. Clearly there's got to be like a way to study it or something. And you know, like as I went in that workshop, I didn't learn much about foreshortening. Instead, I learned things about form and a very solid understanding of how to break down anatomy. And that is what unlocks foreshortening. When you have a really solid construction method, you can then put those simplified shapes, because right, that's like all the construction method is just like simplified versions of complex forms. So you can put those simplified shapes into perspective, and that's all foreshortening is. So I guess the short answer is learn a construction method that works best for you of how to break down things like your arm, for example, or legs, or even like the neck or something like that. And then practice putting that shape into perspective. And the more you do that, sort of just like like active practice, then the better of an understanding of foreshortening you'll get, and eventually you'll start to be able to turn these forms in your head and in your imagination. That's why the gesture is so good too, because while you're doing a pose or a gesture or something like that, you can actively like set an intention to improve and work on moving your simple construction method in space. And especially if you get a pose that has foreshortening in it, you can then just practice that. And with a lot of repetition and consistency, you will unlock. And it's cool because it like literally clicks. You're just like, whoa, what? I can view a cylinder from this angle now. Like I was never able to do that. Like even yesterday, I wasn't able to do that. So that's why I seriously swear by the gesture stuff too. Like you practice so much more than, gesture. Like getting good gestures isn't really the goal. The goal is getting good at drawing through gestures. Yeah, somebody mentioned Josh Black and Michael Hampton are great ones to study. I don't know anything about Michael Hampton. I haven't even looked at his work. I know people have been sharing his stuff in the Discord. But yeah, great examples. I know Michael's work is probably a really good resource as well. But yeah, when you're starting out, it's hard to identify what's a good gesture and what should I even be putting on my reference board in the first place. And I think those are excellent places to start. In time, you'll understand what makes a gesture good. And like I can tell you now, it's like the movement, the energy, and like the readability. But it's hard to really like know that and see that until you can like do that, if that makes sense. Kind of just rambling now, but oh god, sticky keys. What on earth? What is doing that? That's annoying. I think it's only gonna annoy me. You guys can't hear it. Who's saying what now? Oh, thanks so much, Charles. Appreciate it. This is probably going to take me a while to draw because I'm just like, okay, first of all, I'm a slow reader and I'm incredibly dyslexic. So like, I've been staring at the chat for like 20 seconds and I haven't read a single word. So be prepared for that. This might just be the slowest, slowest ever Android 21 drawing in the world. That's the new PR, the new world record I'm going for. 80% no die. Oh yeah, back to the chat. God, okay. What did you do what did you do for work during the time you were teaching yourself, and how did you start making money with your artwork? So yeah, like I was very lucky, I guess. I had a pretty solid portfolio before I did the 6-month routine, and by that I mean like it wasn't solid at all. Like I'm very surprised I got hired as a concept artist with the portfolio that I had, specifically the skills that I had with drawing during that time. But yeah, like that's what I was doing for work. I was a character concept artist, and that was my day job, and it was pretty flexible. Like some days they were super brutal, specifically for me because I didn't know how to draw. So what my colleagues could do in 20 minutes took me 20 hours. And I remember not being the favorite person on the team at all. Like it was a pretty rough experience, but one I'm incredibly grateful for. I'll get back to your question too, I'm just getting off topic. Because I was able to be in an environment with people that were so stupid good. And every meeting I would just be like, oh yeah, like Vale stuff is like really like, why is he here? Like they would say stuff like that to me in an open meeting. I'm like, shit, like this is tough. But being around people that gave me tips and gave me feedback, whether it was constructive or not, really kind of pushed me to get skills faster. And I think that's what really accelerated my 6-month routine, because that's when I got the workshop from Rembert, heard his advice, and was just like, okay, like I gotta buckle up now and get this done. But that's what I was doing relatively for work. I mentioned in the Discord before that so I was living with, and I still am, with my partner, so we were just splitting rent. Because I wasn't making a crazy amount of money as a concept artist, but I was making enough to get by, and that's kind of like the thing. And that really helped having an art job already, obviously. That's why I say I'm like pretty lucky, because while I'm at work, I'm drawing, right? Even if it's stuff that isn't necessarily like actively getting me better, I was still in an environment where I'm doing something artistic. So doing that on top of everything was just, really, really good. Before that, though, because I know this is kind of like the category a lot of people are in, and trust me, I was in this category as well, where I had like a normal 9-to-5 that wasn't art related. It wasn't a concept art job, it wasn't doing drawing. But drawing was always the goal. And I remember during those times, I would just focus on coming home from work and working on my portfolio, so making it as hireable as possible, which got me that art job, and then from there it just kind of snowballed. That's something like I would love to make a video on, to really fully cover, specifically like my journey within that, and really touching upon people that don't have art jobs but are actively trying to break into one. I think that's very interesting, and I know those videos back when I was in that position were so inspiring and encouraging, and there's a lot I want to share in order to help this community get an art job or become full-time as an artist, because it wasn't something until like a few years ago that I realized that there are so many different avenues you can pursue to make a living as an artist, and straight up, you don't have to be a good one. So yeah, and I know like the concept art industry right now, like I haven't worked in the industry for a few years. I don't know what is going on there, but I know it's not the best probably, because with all the AI nonsense. Oh, I also have a lot of interesting and helpful thoughts about the AI scare that I wish a lot of the artists I looked up to had said something about. Sorry, I'm getting salty now. Dial it back. Okay, back to the questions. So I answered the foreshortening. Starting from 0, how many days will it take me to get good at figure drawing? Oh man, so I remember asking a lot of questions exactly like this too, because that's what I wanted to know, like, the realistic time frame of just like, how could I, the X amount of months, X amount of years until I unlock this thing. And if I'm being honest, that's not something anybody could really answer, because it's so dependent on each individual person. I think the 6-month routine, or I definitely know the 6-month routine is a great place to start with that. So you're going to do 61-minute gestures every day for 6 months straight, because it gets you familiar with how fast you progress and develop. And I think it's important when doing this, and something I wish I really prioritized, is to not worry about like getting super good super fast, especially if there's no rush for you to do so. I apologize, this is like super broad, and it's like a really deep question, but it's one that I think you'll find the answer to with time and consistent practice. Let's see. That one brush having one side strong and the other soft. Yeah, soft strokes. Best brush. Not really. I don't know. I was just watching an art stream the other day, and like, so my process heavily uses the smudge tool, and they were going over a tier list of like, Photoshop tools, and smudge tool was in F tier. And I commented, I was like, what? No, like, it should be an S tier. And then I got just lit up in the comments. They were just like, no, Smudge Tool sucks, you're wrong. And then even the streamer is like, yeah, no, Smudge Tool's terrible. I was like, no. But that goes back into like why I think Soft Strokes is the best brush. But for many people, they'd be like, oh man, this brush is F tier, it's garbage. But for me, I'm just like, oh man, it does everything. Kind of goes back to the thing, there's no like one magic brush that makes you good at drawing. But there are some that make it easier. And that's pretty based, but like, for me, this is one of them. Anyway, where are we at? I'm going through these comments so slow, by the way. I just apologize. Anybody new that's watching, I am the slowest reader and super dyslexic, so it's fun times all around. I also got mad ADHD, like I was just reading comments now, I'm on like another webpage doing something else. Okay, where am I at? Drawing, focus. Seeing your video 2 months ago reignited my passion for art, and I finally drew some things I wanted to. That mantra really came in clutch since then. Excited about moving on to gestures. Yeah, appreciate it, by the way. The mantra is super, super awesome. Let me reorganize my layers here while I talk more about it. The 1 step back, 2 steps forwards, or as many people in the Discord corrected me, 2 steps forward, but it doesn't sound as cool as forward, so I'm going to keep using it. That was a really big lifesaver for me when I was going through this. And still is, you know, on a lot of stuff. And it applies on stuff outside of getting better at drawing too, you know? Like, I don't know if, like, you just have a bad day or something, like just in general, just like a really dumpy day, and you just say like 1 step back, 2 steps forwards, I got this. Like, I don't know, it's really nice. And I think building that environment that really cares about, you know, not tearing yourself down when you're doing something difficult is kind of like the most important part to progressing. Not only in a healthy way, but in a way that like makes you fall in love with art even more. Like Burnout hates that stuff, I think. I will say it is nice not doing a time lapse because like I always rotate my canvas a bunch to get the edge that I want to get. But for a time-lapse video that looks like atrocious and it makes people want to throw up, so like I try to limit that when I'm like recording for YouTube or something. But here it doesn't matter because it's all real time, albeit a lot slower because I'm answering questions. Do you use line art, or is it just sketch then color? Yeah, I don't know how to do line art. I've tried so many times. I love manga art. That's actually like the biggest thing that got me into drawing, like so many other people. But I cannot do line art. You know, I probably could if I studied it and practice it, but it doesn't really align with how I draw intuitively, so I kind of just dropped it. Yeah, it's basically sketch into color. I don't think I'll be drawing fast enough to do that today in this video, but we'll see. Get my references in order. God, my ref board is just as chaotic as my ADHD brain. I can't show it to you because there's boobs, but trust me, it's nonsense. It looks like spaghetti. What are people saying? I love the little character sprites. Yeah, me too. I'm gonna set it up so like right now it's if you comment, you get a character, or like if you chat, there'd be a character showing up. And if you don't chat often, then your character disappears. But there's a way to set it. Oh, excuse me. There's a way to set it where if everybody watching gets their own character. And I think that'd be super fun. Because it'd just be like chaos, you know, there'd be like 70 people with like little Adventure Time characters. And one Dragon Ball Z character because the pack got corrupted or something, I don't know. Okay, I need to focus. Focus. Or not, probably won't focus. At what age did you get hired, and what's a thing in your portfolio that you think made you get hired? That's a really good question, and so before I answer the first part of it, I kind of want to stress like my belief with that kind of thing. I know when I was younger, I would always look to artists that said like, you know, like, I got hired at Riot at 16 years old, and you know, like, hearing that as like a 14-year-old or whatever, I'd be like, well, I have to do it when I'm 15 then. And that sort of thing puts you into like a competitive mindset, and nothing really good comes from that in my experience. So it's important to remember that there's no benefit to being in an industry at a younger age. I mean, I guess there is, you know, like whatever, but I don't think that's something you should stress on. And that being said, I got into the industry around like 24. And what was the second part of the question? Oh yeah, the thing in my portfolio that made me get hired. Yeah, that was it was huge. So I followed a Gumroad tutorial that I stress to say that I recommend because I don't know the current climate of the industry. I don't know what hiring managers are looking for, but I assume it's kind of the same things as they were at the time when I applied what was in this Gumroad tutorial. And that tutorial was a kind of like template to follow from Trent Kanuga. He's a really amazing artist here on YouTube that has done work for what was it? Diablo, I believe it was. He's been in Blizzard for a while. And he has a really amazing template that you can literally just copy and paste that puts your portfolio in the way that hiring managers, at least back then, would look for. So it puts your like polished and illustrative work at the front. So hiring managers look at your portfolio and they're like, oh wow, that's really pretty. And then they're likely to send that on to the team to like really like do final assessments and get you that interview. And so having the flashy HR pleasing images at the front and then in the middle of your portfolio is like actually like the job you'd be doing, you know, like breakdowns, different concepts, sketches, environment pieces, you know, like your secondary skill set, all that good stuff. And then the last little bit of your portfolio in this structured method was like the big guns. So like your best painting ever is at the very bottom. So like if they're thinking about you, just like, oh yeah, like I don't know, like between this guy and this guy, then they see that last image and they're like, oh, this guy for sure. That was the point of what got me hired at these places, I believe. Yeah, and I would just find that tutorial below. Oh, this is dog water. Whatever. Oh, that's right. Copy and paste the eye. That's fine. Oh, now you guys are gonna see like how messy my drawings are before they look polished. Oh no. Yeah, I guess I gotta get okay with that, huh? What are we talking about? My ADD brother, are you on meds? I wasn't diagnosed until I was in my 40s. No, I'm not on meds. No, meds make a big difference. I've heard, yeah. I have some people in my life that swear by them as well. Perhaps soon. I think I'm pretty good at controlling it when I don't have multiple things to focus on. Like for example, the stream is like a chaotic environment for it. I'm just like, oh. But when I'm not streaming, it's a little like It's a little more chill. Especially if I just blast music. What are we talking about? I saw you using the overhand grip on your digital tablet. I want to try that. How can I learn? Learn by doing it on the digital tablet, I guess. I need to go back on the gesture video and, well, first of all, I need to look if there's any videos on YouTube that go over the overhand grip in better detail than I did and like link it through that video. But yeah, I would say just like actively practicing on whatever drawing surface you're using with that grip will get you better at that grip. When I'm looking down, it's gonna be cooler. And then I'll get on to hopefully speeding this up so I can go eat some food. I'm super excited to get, or like do live streams more often. Because I really feel like drawing like live or like around other people like I do. I'm so isolated during my studies. Like it's a skill to develop, like it's something that comes with practice. So I'm stoked to get better at that in the future. Ugh. Yuck. That's how it goes. How did you learn to draw faces and hair? So funny story, I still don't really know how to draw hair. I never learned, and by that I mean I never learned like a traditional method to draw hair, or like how many other people go about drawing it. So I learned my own kind of way, and it's not like I wouldn't say it's a good way or a way that other people should do too, but it's how I learned it and how I do it. And it's really helpful specifically when I'm painting hair. Like when I go to render hair, that's when it really shines. Just got like a Joker smile right now. We'll wash that out. Alright, I need to speed this up. Where am I? What am I doing? I don't think I answered your second part of that question. How do I draw faces? So that I actually, I learned a very amazing construction method from Will Weston. He uses like a really scary thing. It looks like Hellraiser, like Pinhead or something. Like there's a lot of little pins that mark out the muscles on the face and how they dictate the planes of the face. And like studying that made faces a lot more approachable, but like I still have that up as a guide every time I'm like drawing a face or something, especially when you're painting a face, because that's when drawing the planes of the face really matter. So for doing that, I didn't, just like figure that out. That was heavily practiced. I'm just sitting here yapping, dude, and like not drawing. That's how it goes. I don't know if anything will come of this, by the way, but it's here. It's here for whatever. I will say talking or just like, not being like super nervous has gotten better, streaming longer, which is nice. whatever he was saying. I will check out how to draw overhand traditional. Wait, what? Yeah, I will check out how to draw overhand traditional and try digital. There should be content for that. Oh yeah, there should be. I would be surprised if there isn't, but I am aware that like using the overhand grip digitally is like kind of weird. At least I haven't known any artists that are like open about using that grip that are primarily digital artists. So maybe there won't be videos on it. I don't know. But it's the same thing. Like if you learn from a traditional person that uses the grip traditionally, it all applies the same digitally. Like there's no difference between the two. Alright, gotta get these shapes down. Gotta do something. What percent do you have your opacity and flow at, or do you change it during different stages of your drawing? Oh, it's always at 100. At different stages of the drawing, I like, for now, like I make this thing like just messy and gross looking, and then I'll go over with just like a big square eraser brush and kind of erase the whole thing, and then go on top of that with smudge tool, as well as, you know, just the same brush at max opacity, to then just refine stuff. That's about it. She's got like a Snooki haircut right now. Jersey Shore. Never seen that show. There we go. Latissimus Dorsey. She's got like little sonic rings or something. Yeah, this is a little better. We're understanding something here. What am I working on right now? Very slow Android 21 thing. With a bad haircut. I do not like it at all. Get this out of here. It's disgusting. This is a little better. Alright, whatever. Just keep it super messy. And then let's go and refine it already. Maybe just, yeah, oh, that's so much better. Okay. Disgusting. Hope it's not weird to say that your voice is nice to listen to while drawing. Thank God. That was a big worry when I was, you know, like I just started this channel like 2 months ago, and this is like my first time ever, like seriously narrating anything, and I was like, oh man, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the your voice is annoying, and like get better voice. But that's not the case. That's good. Good stuff. I love the overhand grip traditionally, but digital, I just can't get the pen to read on the display. There's not enough exposed digital lead. Oh yeah, with the stylus. Yeah, that's fair. I never really thought about that. I draw on a Wacom Cintiq, so I wonder if that's like the stylus for that is a little different. In favor of the whatchamacallit, the overhand grip. Maybe that's why it's uncommon for digital users to use that thing. I feel like I've always been like the odd one out though. I think that comes with just being stubborn and not learning from valid sources. Or something, I don't know. Ugh. Yuck City, brother. You have a Huion canvas. Yeah, I wonder if the digital nib or whatever is just too short on that one. I mean, I'm sure there's a way you could do it. It just might be a little unorthodox. Quite honestly, I'm thinking about grabbing a Huion or something similar just for a bigger display. I am tired of drawing on 16-inch. But honestly, it's kind of cozy. It's just like nice and small. You know, whatever. We're gonna roll with that. But it looks so interesting, I have to try. The overhand grip? Yeah, I love that thing. I think, so I learned it at the workshop I took with Will Weston. And I remember him saying something that's like, yeah, this grip is like so good. Like you're gonna lose your mind at how just like switching to this will like dramatically impact your flow and your figures. And at first I was like really skeptical. I'm just like, oh, there's no way like that's the secret. It's just like holding my pencil differently. And it really wasn't, because like it takes a while to get used to. Back then I was not good at drawing with my entire arm. But once you get comfortable with that and like progress with that, then it does become just stupid cool. I'm glad it's playing lo-fi now. You know, being set to the lo-fi channel. Because before it wasn't. Yeah, we're going to probably take this to the liquify shop. Do you think buying a good quality monitor is better than getting a drawing tablet? Man, I remember really debating this back in the day too, because my primary goal, and it still is, like, is illustration. So I was really worried about the colors being really accurate. And to an extent, like I think that, you know, that obviously does matter too, like when you're posting for social media or when you're making prints of your artwork or just, you know, putting it in a portfolio, like that kind of stuff. So I opted on saving up for the best of both at the time, which is, you know, it was the Cintiq, which has pretty accurate colors, as well as being a tablet that you can actively draw on, so it kind of like serves both of those functions. Looking back at it now, I don't know if I would say that it's really important to focus on a monitor that gives you the most accurate colors out there. For the drawing reason is because good colors comes from good values. And that's not always true, but in a good painting, that's the case. So if your values are good, then your painting's going to look good, even if the colors are a little weird. But if you have like a super good monitor, like most people don't have good monitors, so it's all going to look the same on a default monitor. But if you can, try to get something that does both, like the Wacom Cintiq 16, I guess. The Wacom is old though, there's probably way better ones, or definitely way cheaper ones that probably have a better display than the one I'm using. Good night, Silver Moon. Thanks for stopping by. Mine is just a pen tab, so I don't think it would be a problem. Not looking at it anyway. Oh, like one that you don't have a screen on, you just kind of like draw it directly onto. Those are good too. I used to have the Intuos 4, I think, another Wacom one, but it's the one without the screen. Back then I didn't know about the overhand grip, but I definitely would have found a way to apply it, even if it would be super unorthodox and very awkward. Appreciate it, Ozzy. Usually these are a lot more efficient, I would say. But falling back on a lot of little things to solve some problems. And then once I blast this with the liquefy tool, we should be cooking. And then I should be cooking food. Nails. Okay. Good enough for now, and then let's go ahead and blast this. Yeah, because it looks wonky. This is probably might break the stream. Nope. Okay, we're good. I'm excited to make a video breaking down like toxic art advice. I definitely grew up in an era where using tools like liquefy was like, you know, just like, oh, if you're using liquefy, then you're a bad artist, or you know, like copy and pasting eyes or something. It's like, oh, like if you do that, then you don't know how to draw eyes. It's so stupid. it wasn't until I saw some professional artists and some of my colleagues also just like using tools like Liquify in a professional setting, like, you know, as a concept artist or something like that, that I was like, oh, you know, this is allowed. Which of course it is, like, dude. So I'm stoked to make that. Whenever that will come to fruition. Doing things a little out of order right now, so apologize for the messiness and weirdness of this sketch process. But once I get this to somewhat of a finished state or whatever, I can show you how I would then take it to like a rough color study, or, you know, even like a final illustration at this point, which would be like kind of like a sneak peek of the color video, because I'm super excited to share how I color stuff. It's very different from everything. But as I said, like, not learning any specific way from valid and really good artists gave me a unique insight that I'm excited to share with the community. I think a lot of digital tools can be used as crutch or prevent improvement, but for finished pieces, there's absolutely no reason not to use more tools given to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did gloss over that a bit. I think, yeah, they can totally be a crutch, and really bad for learning, especially when developing things like, or like abstract things like confidence within your drawings and stuff like that. In regards to the Liquify tool, yeah, if that thing is abused, then that is kind of gnarly. But it's good when you know what needs to be moved around, or to like emphasize something, and you don't know how to do that until you are already kind of established at drawing in the first place, I feel like. Because like, if like your nose is out of place, for example, you can fix it with the Liquify tool, but you won't know exactly where to place it or why it's wrong. Whereas if you do know, like, atomically, like, why the nose is looking off, then it is easier to manipulate it using the Liquify tool to get a better desired result. Especially if you're using it to like push poses and stuff like that. Like, in the beginning, you wouldn't know where to push a pose in order to amplify whatever you're trying to amplify is, because you wouldn't know what that would be. But yeah, they're really good. If they're there, use them. Like the smudge tool too. Still salty about that live stream. That was messed up, dude. Smudge tool's F tier. Like, no. Thanks, Tevin. Figure daddy. Question: who are you drawing? Android 21. The unofficial, maybe unofficial. I don't really know. Yeah, I do know actually. She's not in the series, right? Of Dragon Ball Z. She's only in Fighter Z and fucking the other one I didn't play that everybody went crazy over. The new one that came out. Anyway, from a Dragon Ball Z fighting game. I tend to only like, and maybe this is just like the ADHD thingness of it, but I only do like studies or like stuff like that on things I'm interested in on that time. Like, for example, somebody mentioned Cyberpunk 2077, and when that anime came out, Edge Runners, like all of my studies were just like drawings of the characters. So I'd like do anatomy studies of like, what's his name? forget his name, the big dude. And like draw arms that were like kind of biomechanical, but they still had the same muscles, and that's how I do my studies for that month. I went over that a little bit in my anatomy video of the way that I studied anatomy, and it kind of emphasized and highlighted that you should be having fun while you're studying too, to keep it, you know, not only interesting, but to ensure that you will come back to it. Because if you do like academic and static poses especially are just like, you know, there's a time and a place for them. Sometimes I have fun with them, but most of the time I have more fun drawing like, you know, my main character in a fighting game. So I would just do that and then put the studies over that or something. What are people saying? So she appears briefly on a monitor in a recent movie. Oh, that's right. What is it, in like Daima? Or was it the Broly movie? Or some Dragon Ball Z movie? I know what you're talking about. That would be sick if she's ever canon. Though I don't know anything about the character, I just really like her design. I like the play on the Majin aesthetic. I think that's cool. I also think it's cool because like outside of you know, like all Dragon Ball characters are like really aesthetic, like Trunks and his jacket, like he just looks so cool, like straight out of like 90s heaven or something. And like all the characters look really cool, but there's not a lot of like female characters in Dragon Ball in general, specifically ones that look really cool. Like I think Kefla's design is kind of boring, to be honest. Like it's just, you know, like she's just in like workout gear. There's nothing cool going on. Whereas you take like a Gogeta, for example, and his outfit just looks like, you know, freaking awesome. I feel like Android 18 and 21 are kind of like the female versions of that, where they have really interesting designs. Even just like silhouette wise with her crazy annoying to draw hair. It's not annoying to draw, but hair is just as we established, I never learned how to, so it's a little weird for me. Cynics advise that you need fuel to keep doing art, so making your practice too academic will use up your fuel. Yeah, that's good advice. I briefly remember what Cynics video you're talking about too. Cynics was one I really like his content, and during my formative years as an artist, I really look up to Cynics. Still do. He's a cool dude. Seems like a really cool guy. And I'm stoked that I'm able to like teach something that aligns with that philosophy, I guess. Even though sometimes I do have fun with like really static and I guess like academic studies of muscle structures and stuff like that. Like sometimes it's really fun, but it's more fun to draw a character and then draw the muscles on top of that character. Almost like 90% of the time it's more fun to do that, at least for me. Thanks so much, Ozzy. Yeah, eyebrows and like eyes. So I really like how an artist, you should definitely check out his work because it's super cool. His name is Paul Komoda, and the last name is kind of spelled like Komodo dragon. But yeah, Paul Komoda's way that he draws eyes and eyebrows, especially on his female figures and characters, are so like mean and like aggressive and like in a very like I don't know, like just energetic way that just look really cool. So that's kind of where I eventually adapted my eye style into, and eyebrow style. But it's mainly like something I'll use for sketches and studies. Like I don't really translate that sort of like aggressive firmness to the eyes in paintings. I do on some of them, but most of the time it's not, or my characters don't have heads or something. Like, I usually don't draw eyeballs, so it's like kind of weird. Have you ever missed days in your 6-month challenge? I didn't do mine yesterday. Should I do double today? What to do on days where you're kind of busy? So I never missed a single day, and I don't think that really matters. I don't necessarily think you should double down either, unless you feel like you want to and you're interested in doing so. My kind of priority with that whole routine is to do what you can when you can. I stand by that because that will get you where you want to go regardless. It just depends on if you want to go 100 miles an hour or 99 miles an hour, you know, like you're still going to get there. So I don't think there's any real benefit to it other than, for me, it was maintaining consistency. And you know, even if you do a little bit of something every single day, in 6 months from now, you'll be tremendously better at that little bit of something. And that's the core idea behind it, and why it's also good not to miss days, you know. But yeah, if you miss a day, it's completely okay. It's totally fine. Out of the 600 muscles, someone said online that you really need to know about 40 to 50 by heart to do most art. I did not know there was 600 muscles. Good lord. I actually don't think I know 40 or 50 of them. You know, I could like name all the ones that I know. You know, you got like the sternocleidomastoid, you got the deltoid, you got the brachialis, brachioradialis, coracobrachialis, like stuff in the arms. Sartorius, rectus femoris, lateralis, and medialis muscles for the legs. Yes, it does help to memorize them by name, primarily because like when you're drawing that body part and you know the name of it, you can kind of like build a connection between the two. So when you're struggling on drawing like the bicep, for example, like you know that's a bicep, so you're just like saying bicep in your head over and over again. And I found that really helps when drawing that specific muscle. But I do agree with that. Like, I think you don't need to know all 600. If you do, I'm positive that, I don't know, like your drawings will look like really, really cool or whatever, or really, really atomically or academically accurate. But yeah, to do like art that is, I don't know, like character focused or character driven, you know, you don't need to know that much. You know, which makes the whole thing much more approachable, you know, because like throwing out like 600 muscles and being like, oh, you have to learn every one of these by heart to draw a character, it's like that's intimidating. And I think style and how you push things communicates so much more than anatomy ever will. That being said, if you get good at anatomy, you can then push anatomy and stylize anatomy, so then it just looks like turbo cool. Okay, I gotta focus. I'm just like kind of going over lines I already did because I'm talking. Think. I usually don't do this many passes, by the way. But I am now. Yeah. One step back, 2 steps forwards. Yep, boy. Yeah, Android 21's cool. She's really fun to play with, and Fighter Z too. Definitely my main, and all the Vegetas, like base Vegeta and Super Saiyan Vegeta. SSJ, whatever. Maybe somebody can answer. What does the J stand for in Super Saiyan terminology? I never understood that. I've looked it up like multiple times, but it just never clicked. I was like, you know, like SSSJ for Goku or something. Like, what does that even mean? What does the J stand for? Jutsu? I don't know. Caught myself starting to say deltoid or latissimus dorsi or trapezius instead of just delt, but yeah. Yeah, definitely an interesting byproduct of learning anatomy for sure. And kind of cool, like it's a weird little flex that you can't really like exclaim in your day-to-day life. You know, if somebody's just like, oh, like my back hurts, and you're like, oh, which part? You know, it's just like most people don't know, and it doesn't matter to know. And then when you say that you know, they're just like, okay, man. It's like, I don't know. But to an artist, it's cool. I can say things like rectus femoris, and another artist would be like, oh, hell yeah, man. That's sick, brother. Yeah, it's just me, I don't know. I think anatomy's cool. And it's cool getting a better understanding of it, because then you just like look at your own body different. And you're like, oh, this is weird. You know, just like, I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know if we'll take this like much further, but I will demonstrate or show examples of where I would take this, you know. And on other streams too, I'll focus on getting a piece done, maybe even colored, so we can like have some fun doing that stuff. But for now, this was like a pretty fun stream. I mean, I'm not gonna end it right now, but just looking back at it, this was like kind of a big test. I was trying to set this up all day, and there was some awful feedback that was going on. And I actually didn't like work on fixing it. I just kind of pressed let's stream and just hoped it worked out, and I guess it did, so that's always nice. Oh, sweet, the J in sand. Yeah, what is it? Let's see. SSJ is Super Saiyajin. Oh, like how they pronounce it in Japanese. Okay. Suffix similar to Japanese Super Saiyan person. Okay, that's what it is. I always thought they just threw the J in there because it made it sound and look cooler, like SSJ2 or something. I was like, what does it stand for though? You know? Thanks for filling me in. Now I know. Now I know to forget 2 hours later. Good enough. I'm digging the Jingle Bells music we got going on now. I'm stoked that this is all free to use though. It's good. Normally free to use music is like the worst thing you've ever heard. Or it sounds good but you're scared to use it. You're like, is this really free? Is this gonna explode my channel? Also, Majin comes from Akumajin, meaning devil or person or evil spirit. Oh, that's sick. I did not know that. It makes Majin even cooler now. Buu Saga wasn't my favorite though. I think the Frieza Saga, I know it's like everyone's favorite, but it's so good. Cell Saga was pretty good too, but mainly just the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is sick. Deltoid, we snobby artist here. Yeah. Scientific names only. I wonder if I even know 10 muscles. I don't think I do. Maybe like 8. Like that I can name by heart, you know, like I probably could look at or like look at a pose and then be able to name more or something. Maybe not though. I mean, who knows? But that's good enough. Yeah, alright. I am hungry. So I think I'll finish this up later, like in an hour or so, and I'll probably post it in the Discord too, alongside all the other studies I've been doing throughout the week. But for now, I'll give you an example of like what I would do to take this further with the study I did yesterday. Where's my layers? There's my layers. Can you guys see layers? Hold on, I'm breaking it. Anyway, let's see. So, like, where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? Let me find what I'm talking about before I show it. There it is. Okay. Let's go ahead and just pop this open here. Okay. So, like this was the goal for the Android 21 drawing, to get somewhere here, right? We didn't accomplish that. I don't have a good strat for answering questions and drawing yet, so we didn't get there. But then the next step from that would be, you know, getting somewhere like this, and this will be a sneak peek for the color video. I'll show you like kind of exactly what I did by that. Oh no! Our doggo. My partner's home right now, so something's going on. Get Discord out of the way. Alright, so we got this, right? Over here was where we were trying to get to with 21 today. We failed, that's alright. Here's where we would have been going. And I do things based on value primarily, so I focus on getting really solid values within a piece. So for this one, I would probably just like make the volumes a little more clear on the legs before going into adding color, something like that. Boop, 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 boop. And I also like to darken the hands because I think it looks cooler for reasons that are unknown to me. I could also darken the shorts. Well, like very loosely, you know, going over where the lining would be. So we get strong values onto a sketch or something like that, and then pop in a color layer of just like a pretty saturated basic skin tone over all the skin. And this is like a method that a lot of people do, but they do clipping masks or something. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what a clipping mask is or how to use it. Those things are scary and weird. So I just use color layers and just like, you know, like a coloring book almost, right? Like you're coloring where the skin would be a skin color. And then the outfit would be like different colors too. And picking colors that go with each other are really good, right? That'll create a more unified and balanced painting like we see on the right. But you also don't have to do that, and this is why the values are so important, because essentially it makes it so that colors like pretty much just don't really matter, and you can choose any color you want. And if your values are good, of course some colors are going to look better than others when they're combined, right? But like you can choose any color, and with good values it'll still be a unified piece, even if it is just like a little weird at first or something. So then once I would have the skin down, I would pop in another color layer, and we're just going to add some like reddish hues where blood would gather, or so I've heard it described, you know, but really that means just kind of like red on the cheeks, a little bit on the chin, where the knuckles are, elbows, shoulders, I guess like joints area now, the chest, knees are a big one if you blast this red on. And then once we have that down, I'd probably just lower the opacity of those reds a little bit. This is where normally I put a color balance on, but let's go with another layer and then add a really saturated orange. It's kind of like blend all that in. See, now it looks like skin, right? Albeit a little more like irradiated, or like there's like radiation on it or something. Like it's kind of a lot. So we're gonna go back into that and then blast it with a hue and saturation. Oh man, you guys can't see the layers. Dang it. Well, anyway, hue and saturation, we're gonna lower the saturation, up the brightness a tiny bit, hit OK, go back into that, select it all, and then we'd hit it with a color balance. And this is where you can really push those reds where the blood gathers in the joints or just like naturally on a body, and fine tune it a little bit. And if you do this, like this is kind of a bad example because the values aren't really tight on this, because obviously it's still in sketch mode. But if you do this where you have really solid and fully rendered out values underneath, this is where like it really pops. And you're not done at this step at all. Like you can leave it here, but this is where like if I was taking it further to a full illustration, this is where then I would paint on top of this, right? So now I have a whole new layer, and I would grab this little orange thing And then this would be a great little shader for the skin now. So then I would use that and paint on top of it. And then from here I would play around with some color variation. And you can also add color variation in the previous step when I added the reds for the blood flow. That's where you can add, you know, some greens, some blues to make this like feel a lot more alive. But I just didn't do that. But like, I would try to always add with whatever portion of your painting or your sketch that you're working on, I would try to infuse elements of red, blue, and green, so like RGB. And if you infuse elements like that, your painting will automatically have really good color variation. And it's a lot more simple than it sounds. Like, I realize that I may be making this sound kind of tricky, and especially with the demo right now, it's not like a very intuitive one. But you can see now this is like how I'm going about it now. Now I'm tightening up those values and also mixing in better colors. So that's like essentially how we went from there to here. And ew, gross, this is not very well. Okay, that's better. Yeah, and that's that's where we were aiming to get to with our thingy, wherever that went. Let's see, this one. But we fucked up, so we'll get there later. But yeah, I did not look at the chat a single time while I was talking that whole time, so now I will do that while I get all the gestures that I did today on screen for you. And then I also try to make my gesture sheets fun, you know, like, I think honestly that's all I did, right? Oh, nope, I did that stuff too, but these are whatevers. Okay, yeah, let's go to some comments. Glad you streamed. I've been lurking here while I animate. It's good background sound. Hell yeah, thanks so much, Nix. I'm glad you were a part of it. I'll be streaming more often in the future for sure. This was definitely like an icebreaker stream for me because I'm not used to live streaming at all. Like, I've been a little art goblin drawing in complete isolation for my entire life, so like, you know, like talking to an audience is like pretty hardcore, but you know, it's good to work on and it's super fun, so I'm stoked to do it more. August says, what do I draw on? It looks like Nick's already answered, but yeah, it's Adobe Photoshop. I am an Adobe slave, unfortunately. Let's see, 1 meal at a time. Love your content. I am new to art and your gesture drawing video taught me a lot. Hell yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, the gesture drawing and specifically the 6-month routine, I mean, I talked about it before earlier on in the stream, but it was the most pivotal thing that truly transformed my art and led to so many like incredible opportunities and made drawing like so much more fun. So if anything else, that's the coolest thing about them. As someone who just learned colorizing recently, I still just make color layers. Yeah. I heard, like, oh my god, when I was learning painting and all that stuff, like, so many people would just, oh, I think Photoshop froze. Nope. Okay. So many people would just absolutely talk shit about color layers and like say like, yeah, like don't use a color layer. And I get it, they're valid points. They would explain it very well. But no, I always went back to color layers. It just like, it became the most intuitive thing for me. So that's where we still go to this day. Let's see. Great stream, thank you. Helping me get better every day. Of course, Gaz, that is the goal. Definitely more streams to come, so we'll be doing like character painting streams too, and going over and refining sketches and cool stuff like that. Maybe we'll set up a stream schedule, who knows. Let's see, do you overpaint almost right from the get-go? Or do you ever paint right from the get-go? Yes, to both. So when I apply like the basic colors on something, that's when I'll, you know, like I would do it for like, you know, the shorts here, the hair, the headphones, like little accessories like the mace, the phone. Once I have all those colors established, then I would go in and paint on top of that, and that kind of automatically gets rid of the sketch lines. But the way I sketch plays into the painting as well, so they all complement each other. Like even from the very beginning when I start a gesture for a pose, that complements the end result of the painting. So I'll talk more about that and how you can develop your own version of that, like your own steps that play into making your final rendered illustration look as good as possible later on in different videos. Let's see, I started the gesture drawing routine and I can see slight improvement in the way I sketch. Hell yeah! That's the goal, I love to hear it. I'm so stoked for seeing so many people implement that and seeing results too, you know? And like I'm kind of jealous in a way, because I'm looking at people's like, you know, their day ones, and sometimes they'll post like day 1 to day 30 in the Discord and stuff, and their progress is like so good. And then I go back and I look at my day 1 to my day 30 and it's like nothing. I'm like, no. Or like some people are on like day 50, you know, and like hitting day 60 now, and it's so amazing seeing how much progress everybody's making with this routine. And a little infuriating because it's a lot more than I made, so I'm like, ah. But that's how it goes. That's super sick. What I love about the idea of the 6-month challenge is that it's so simple. Yeah, that's what I love too. And it gives you, like, that simplicity I think plays into maintaining the consistency of it too. You know, it's just like, okay, in 6 months, which is a realistic time frame, I'm going to get X result or something. And that definitely like worked for me when I tried it too, and it really helped seeing Rembert explain it, and then also share his before and afters. You know, just like having that as like some gas, like it just like really like blew everything up. So yeah, more streams. Yeah, definitely more streams. Very excited to start this up routinely. I got day 60 today. Oh, hell yeah, Tepid. Again, dyslexic. That is awesome. Yeah, I'm stoked that you're seeing amazing results too. Cool. Yeah, with that, we got this, okay, this will be the one time, like, where I dog on my art, okay? Because I don't like artists that do that, because I don't think it projects goodness. That being said, this is a sloppy 21. Okay. Sweet. Thank you everybody for showing up. There was a lot of people here, which was super fun. And I'm excited to do this more and bring you some more stuff based on what I learned as an artist, and go from there, I guess.